Here we are. Great to see you all. Yeah, let's just start off right off the bat. I'm going to leave your thing on for a little bit there, Tolemykus. Thanks again. Yeah, I mean, it's a bittersweet start to the show, that's for sure. I mean, due to the fact, yeah, Charles Latora, sorry to hear, man. I mean, anybody who follows your channel, you know, has seen you with your dogs. It's not funny. So I know what it feels like. And my God, Zoe Dufour, I didn't know that you lost. That was like the same day that you lost your Rottweiler there a couple of years ago. And like I said, kind of like a bittersweet. It's great to see you again, Crispy Galactic. It's been a while. People have been wondering where the hell you are. This is the thing. I mean, with a rinky-dink little, well, rinky-dink, but a small group like us. I mean, you know, one person that's not around, you kind of, you notice, essentially. So I'm just going to go quickly. But it is great to see you, Charles Latora. So if I don't hear you from you, you know, or whatever, totally understandable. My God. Great to see you, Tolemykus. Great to see you, Zoe Dufour. I wasn't expecting you, actually. And like I said, Crispy Galactic, wonderful to see you again. Brian R. Smith, great. Harold Bosma, I hope you had a great time at Eschenspiel. I know you said that you were super busy this week, so that way you didn't get to assemble anything for us, but you will. We know that. And great to see you, Meandering Mike. Did I miss anybody? I'm not really sure. Let's go. So I'm going to remove your thing again, Tolemykus, and then I'm going to go straight into the narrative, and that should, you know, obviously jig in some stuff. Yet again, also, I'm just going to say this. William Aarons and Brian R. Smith provided a fair amount of material. It's almost getting to the point now, all I have to do is hit the go live button, and that's it. I don't have to do anything else, as everybody else is bringing in some contributions. So it's pretty cool. By the way, Harold Bosma, I don't know if you know, because it was mentioned last week, the Paul Heder interview there for 1916 Prelude to Blitzkrieg is on hold for a while. He's got a ton of things on his plate right now. So he asked if we could postpone and reschedule. And I was like, of course. Oh, great to see you, Hissy Cat, as well. I hope you're doing really good, man. So I'm going to, like I said, let me present the screen. Yeah, I'm not going to keep banging on about it, Charles Latora, but I know it must be like, oh, I've been there, man. I've been there. Well, a lot of us have. It's not fun. All right. So yet again, welcome, everyone. Please let me know what you've been up to this week. I will say this. I'm glad that you are here, Charles Latora, because I wasn't sure if you were going to be here because you were mentioning that you had potentially some errands to run. Is that I picked up Schutztruppe. I don't know if they've sent it off in the post yet, but I purchased it from Board Game Bliss this week. It came out to $96 Canadian with shipping. I was really surprised. It's an Ontario-based company, but still, I was like really, really happy. So that's on its way. And then another nice thing is they sent me an email saying, "Oh, I'm one of the owners of this store. I just wanted to thank you for your custom." I was like, I like that type of stuff. Anyway, so please let me know what you've been up to. Live stream fact checker. I'm sure there is. I just don't know of any. Update on which World War I related games you've been playing would be great. Like I saw you there, Charles Latora. You finished up Schutztruppe. I can't flip and wait to see that on a table at my place. We'll get to this in a bit. I know it's a bit of a big question or what have you. If asked this binary answer question, and I was trying to focus it the way Brian R. Smith was a few weeks ago when he mentioning, he was like, yeah, you know, some of your questions are pretty good, but it's like, you know, these monster what ifs. You can start adding in a lot of things. Okay, we'll keep it very whatever. Try to keep it specific. If asked this binary answer question, was the prospect of a German hegemony over Europe the reason Germany went to war, or the possible outcome if they had won? So it was like, you know, chicken or the egg kind of thing. And that's due to the fact of well, I'll bring it up again, but I'm only about 50 or 60 pages into this book, On a Knife Edge there by Holger Afflerbach. I'm not saying he's not as like, not like super compelling the way, let's say, Alistair Horn writes, but he's filling in a ton of information on it. The odd thing is I'm just into the Tannenberg chapter, and I was like, oh God, I don't want to read about Tannenberg again. And boink, it's like completely shifting a lot of things on me. Harold Bosma says, I bought, hold on here. I'm going to post your little thing, the jig, so everybody can see that. I bought mounted map for Paths of Glory, pimped the game after 20 years. Wicked. Oh, and we're going to, in an odd way, Harold Bosma also, if I don't, well, you're going to see it here as I go across the thing here. And the reason why I'm bringing that up with the Tannenberg thing is, and it's just, I was like, whoa, an eye-opener and a half. I don't know about you guys, but from what I remember, you know, or at least the narrative that I get was, you know, as the Russians, the First Army was getting in, you know, around Gumbinnen and Stalaputin or whatever it's called, and Prittwitz freaked out and like panicked and like, oh, we're going to send all the troops back, you know, across the Vistula and whatnot. And then Moltke, the younger there, was like, no, you're not doing that. Turfed him and then brought in Hindenburg and Ludendorff. That's the narrative I've always been given. But this guy's like, no, it's not exactly the way it went. I was like, whoa, like it was due to the fact that Prittwitz actually was just going to temporarily go back behind the Vistula and was already preparing. I remember that bit too, because I remember when Ludendorff and Hindenburg did actually show up in East Prussia, they were surprised that there was already plans for an offensive towards First Army and whatnot. So I was like, okay, anyways, it's early days for that chapter, but I was like, oh, whoa. But anyways, he brings this up, and you know what? Screw this. I'm going to stop the screen temporarily, and I'm going to show you that little bit in the chapter. I presented the screen. I've got to pop it up there. Hold on here first. And I also have to get to, my God, it's going to be a relatively easy one this week. The who or what am I in World War One? We're flipping sure, I can tell you that much. Let me see if I can find it. Is it the question? Yes, that's it. All right, and I'm going to view make it so you get much bigger. Yeah. All right. And I'll tell you what I'm up to later this afternoon. Yeah, well, it's part of the narrative too. There's going to be a talk I think I've been mentioning to you for a few weeks. I'm really excited about seeing or attending or whatever the heck you want to call it. It's an online thing. It's the World War I Association, Historical Association. It's going to be women in World War I in the Great War. And holy moly, when I found out who the speaker is, and they have a little thing about it, I was like, whoa, guy's written tons of books. Some of them are like a big bunch of fiction books, World War I intrigue. I'm like, jeepers, jumping. This sounds really good. It's this little bit here, and this is why he brings it up. And I was like, that's why I wanted to put it up in the discussion question and start thinking about things. There is no doubt that had victory become a reality, well, for Germany, obviously, the military would have been strongly in favor of a hegemonic policy. But this would have been a consequence and not the cause of the outbreak of war. I just thought that was rather interesting, and that's why I brought it up. And now I'm going to go back to is it that one? No, I can't do that. I got to stop the screen and then go back to sorry. I'm going to learn. Well, as you know, I've got a ton. I don't go back to work until the 4th of November. So I'm hoping I'll be spending some of my free time, obviously, focusing on trying to better the stream for us. Hold on here. I'm going to pop on Brian R. Smith's thing because it's a monster. Not sure European domination was the objective in terms of land grab, but rather that Germany's place in Europe would be more respected, maybe even feared. Yeah, it's and then of course, as we only know a tiny little bit of it, he brings it up because I just finished reading the bit of the chapter there, like August 1914 in September. You know how amazing things are going for the Germans at the beginning operationally. And that's yet again, I keep getting this hammered in from different sources of like Germany were, that's the way they focused. They looked at the war. They didn't, and they didn't have any other options in the sense. They weren't looking at it from trying to win the war from other, like from a strategic or diplomatic, at least the people in control. And so it's like, well, if it doesn't work quickly, your operational approach is probably going to fall apart pretty quick. And I'm getting this from multiple sources. Anyway, so that Brian R. Smith, thank you very much for that, because that's clicking in good here for me. I'm going to hide your thing. Thank you. Did I? Oh, I did. Okay, I didn't. I just took it off again. Oh, brother. So the Big Bertha bingo, I think last week, you were right. Telemykus, you got a point for it. So we're going to show Big Bertha now. Sherry bringing in what she brings in this week. Not a big battle, I didn't find out much about it, but I did find a website with a nice little memorial about it, because I was like, okay, where exactly is this place? So hold on, I'm going to pop it in the banners, because I do have it in the banners. I just got to find it. There's so many flipping banners today, because Brian R. Smith and William Aarons provided some pictures and whatnot, and just I tried to edit a little bit, Brian R. Smith. I'm not going to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I will put some of your commentary of what you sent me in an email. I'm not going to like dish out everything or whatever. So I'm trying to be a little cognizant of trying to keep some of your stuff private or whatever. So there's the battle, number 29, the Battle of Connery. And I don't know too much about it. Hold on, I got to stop the screen, and then I'll make sure. Oh, darn it, I should have had it on the other one. But I've got it in my link, so it should be relatively quick. I just got to go and look for it. Oh, there you are. So this is well, it's in Poland, south of Krakow, I do believe. Well, we're going to find out in a minute once I pop it on the screen here. Yeah. And I think I was mentioning to Meandering Mike last week that I found the Imperial War Museums lets you use some of their videos, as long as you tell everybody it's not, you're not trying to make money off of it, kind of thing. And they're really high quality. So I'm trying to find videos that are, obviously not going to take there's some there 15 minutes long. It's like, holy cow, I'd love to watch them. Maybe we'll do that for, like, I don't know, episode 100 or something crazy. So there we go. And I'll stop the screen because I got to share the other one, and we're 11 minutes in. So I got to keep an eye on those things as per usual. I swear to God, I say this every week in my head before we start the show. I'm like, I got nothing to talk about or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh. So there we go. This one I want to share. Yep. All right. And then I'm going to put the comments so I can make sure I've got everybody. And you guys can see that I'm going to get rid of the Battle of Connery. Well, because that's where we are anyways. I just wanted to show you this bit, and I'll get rid of me so you can see this a bit more. And I'll read it off a little bit because, well, hold on. I'll see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. It's just a monument to the Battle of Connery, 1915. Connery, which is now calm, welcomes tourists with a charming hilly landscape with picturesque ravines, numerous war cemeteries, and the monuments standing at the crossroads of the roads remind of the solemn and important events for the history of the Polish Army in 1915. In May 1915, the Battle of Connery took place, during which the Austro-Hungarian army clashed with the Russian troops. It is worth mentioning that the 1st Brigade of the Polish legions fought for the Austro-Hungarian forces. Whoa. Oh, that's right. I look at remember the Weltkrieg counters, and there's some there. The battle was part of a wider military action that took place near Opatov and Kilometov. The struggle at Connery turned into a positional activities in June 1915. I'm going to stop the screen and go back to that, and then we're going to go back to the narrative quickly. Yeah, that makes sense. Hold on here. I'm just going to make sure that I can see the bloody thing. And some people got points. Harold Bosma, I think you got points. William Aarons, I think you got a point. Somebody else got one as well. I can't remember. Oh, I think it was Gamers with Coffee. I think they got one. Or no, maybe Zoe Dufour. No, you would have had. I would have put you on the. You would have had 2 points over there, but you didn't. All right, so hold on here. And back to the narrative. That should help. And then I'll make me with it a little bit. Yeah, so we got that one done. All righty. Who or what am I in World War One trivia? That's maybe this is the way to go. I'll just, like, rather than jump back and forth, but I do want to show everything because I tend to forget about things. So we're going to pop in the first clue. Like I said, I think this is going to go pretty darn quick. I just have to make sure that I'm, good. Like, not, there we go. I've been around for nearly 3,000 years, and there's a new comment. I'm just here for the point, Sissy Cat. Okay, there. No, don't. All I can say is, obviously, if you win, don't pick your own, donate. Like, don't pick your own prize. And like, hey, I want the audio book. Like, go for some Gamers with Coffee or tea. I think you drink tea, or the year PDF electronic subscription to War Diary. So there's your first clue. I've been around for nearly 3,000 years. Methuselah. You're going to get a point, Tolemykus, but you are incorrect. And I'm going to pop a thingamajig. All right. And as you can see here, yeah, and maybe Brian R. Smith got a point. Maybe that's why you're up to 41 points. I don't know. But there's a lot of, yeah, well, I think you got one. And again, Tolemykus, I'm not really sure. And there's going to be the community contributions right after we do Who or What Am I in World War I. I think it's going to go quick. We'll go to Brian R. Smith's pictures and the Clark Commando 1983 one. He sent me just a quickie one, but he found on Facebook. He's like, hey, Chris, I think you'd like it. I was like, well, I'm obviously going to share with everyone, that's for sure. I'll pop in the second clue. This really freaked me out. Next to air and water, I'm the most used substance in the world. Harold Bosma says horses. You're going to get a point, Harold Bosma, but you are incorrect. There you go. Yeah, I was like, what? Really? So there you go. I have to go back down here and make sure. Tolemykus says dirt. You're going to get a point, Tolemykus, but you are incorrect. And I'll pop in the third clue. Is this it? During the Great War, some river barges were made out of me. Who or what am I? Harold Bosma says grain. You are incorrect. You are getting a point. But Kilroy was here, gets it, with concrete. Congratulations, Kilroy was here. And great to see you. Holy smokes. That's like twice I think you've been on this show, and you get them both times. Like, what the heck? Hold on. I'm going to make sure everybody gets their things. Harold Bosma gets another point. I'm going to give you, the rest of you guys, I'm going to get you some ones too, because I don't know when, it's not the end of the world, for goodness sakes. It's not like we said before, it's like Tolemykus, you're not getting a pink Corvette or whatever. Tolemykus says fire. Meandering Mike says gunpowder. Hissy Cat says steel. And William Aarons says wood. I know William Aarons. That's what I was thinking too, man, when I saw it. But no, it's concrete. Well done. Kilroy was here. And I'll give you the other clues. Good examples of me are Smeaton's Tower in England, a concrete lighthouse, and the giant statue of Christ the Redeemer. And your last clue. Nope, it's second last one. It took a while, but the guns like Big Bertha cracked me up. And then the last one was the Germans sure made good use of me, especially from 1917 onwards. And as Kilroy was here, got it. The answer's concrete. This is freaking awesome, because that means we can go super duper ultra quick. Tolemykus is what? No Corvette? It won't be pink. What did I say? That's already been taken a long time ago. I think it was not Jay gave it away, as far as I know, on his show. So you can blame him. All right. So now, as you can see here, I'm going to get rid of the. Let me get rid of that there, and then I've got everything good there. And then now we're going to go to the pictures. Now I'm just going to let you know, one of the pictures that Brian R. Smith sent could be upsetting for some people. I think I just want to let you know that the fact that my Barbies have nothing to ride. Take the bus. Take the bus. Anyways, so I'm just going to let you know that one of the pictures, it's compelling for me to look at, but I just want you to know you're going to see a lot of body parts. It's a black and white image, okay? And it's in a book, from a book, and so on and so forth. So just, I just want to let you know. I'll tell you, like, the next picture, if you don't want to see that type of stuff, then, I want to let you know ahead of time. So I'm going to put in, this is Brian R. Smith, says, hi, Chris. I have a few World War I books with photos, and I can scan some of the images. And I think the next one is, one book in particular is Marching to Armageddon, Canadians in the Great War, 1914-1919, by Desmond Morton and J. L. Granestein, 1989. And I think, yes. If you find them useful, I can scan more if you'd like. Kind regards, Brian. You're darn right. I think it's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing with us, man. So I'm going to go and grab them. Hold on here. Actually, I'm going to show you the Clark Commando 1983 one, because it's already, no, it isn't primed. It was primed. Not anymore. All right. So I can go straight to Brian 01. And as far as I know, it's the 09 is the, even there's only 7 pictures, and I made sure it was way, way down. All right. So hold on here. I'm going to stop the screen. Yeah, I'm gonna try to put them both at the same time. Like if I can have multiple, I think I'm allowed to have multiple things in the queue for present screen, so I have to keep. I can just go back and forth very quickly. All right, so I'm gonna go to here. You know what's freaky weird, Brian R. Smith? Today, I'm not kidding you. I swear to flipping God. This week's Great War, the week that was with Indian Idell, very quickly shows this picture. I'm going to swap it back. Nope. Oh yeah, I should do that. And then I'm going to just bump it up a little bit. Hopefully, just please let me know if you guys find that if you can't see it properly or if it's too small. I'm trying. Maybe I'll get rid of me. Maybe that will help. Yep, it certainly does. Canadian troops returned from the trenches in November 1916. A sergeant leads the remnant of a platoon. Artillery drivers escort loaded limbers up the gun lines. The deep mud underfoot adds to the exhaustion of weary men. Yeah, I just thought, like I saw it this morning. I went, wait a flipping minute. That's one of the pictures Brian R. Smith sent. And there you guys can see that one. The happy man today is the man at the front. Yeah. Jeepers jumping. However, the slogan, it worked. At one time, the Montreal Regiment had all 3 of its battalions with Canadian divisions in France. The old militia was the basis for most effective recruiting from the CEF. Yes, Charles Latour, I know you also mentioned in one of the comments today on the headlines of, hey, did English-speaking Canadians and French-speaking Canadians fight separately? I'm not sure. I think there was some segregation. Oddly enough, I did read, I saw the headline. I didn't read the article earlier in the week from the Globe. And there was something that did mention something about complaints of segregation, but I wasn't sure if that was black and white thing or French and English thing, or I don't know. But thanks for oh shoot, I didn't fix this. Hold on here. Just got to do this. You guys can see it. Crop it. Point. There we go. And I'll make this a little bit bigger. Winter came early in 1916 and brought the coldest weather in generations. By the time the 4th Canadian Division had its last attacks in November, the ground was frozen and snow had settled in. And there, hopefully, you guys can see that. Excellent. See if I did. I kept doing it, didn't I? So, there you go. Yeah, I don't know why it turned into these weird, crazy screen captures like that way. Lieutenant General Sir Julian Bing Bungo to his friends was no genius, but he was a sensible, experienced soldier who taught Canadians that training and careful staff work saved lives. He was also no martinet, returning salutes. So one officer recorded, as well as he could without taking his hands out of his pockets. Trippy. And this is I've seen this one too. It's a fat. I find this a really what in the world happened with these images that it did this crazy weird cropping. Yeah, this one just blows me away. I've seen this one before. People riding out like a light. Canadian soldiers sleeping in the front line. And I think the last one could be no, it's number 6. So we're still good. Oh, this is Arthur Curry. Fascinating person, eh? Hold on. Mr. Preparation. General Curry, commander of the Canadian troops in France. And I don't know what ADC means. So if you guys could tell me, that would be great, because I have no clue. And I think the next one is going to be the one where I said you guys may go, oh boy, I don't want to look at this. Then don't look at it. Hold on here. I got to crop it. There we go. I'm doing it, cropping it the wrong way. Hold on. This way should help. Yep. All right. The Somme battlefield in early October. Dead bodies. So it's right now. Dead bodies are rare in wartime photographs, and these, from the appearance of their boots, are probably Germans. The scene reflects the grim devastation in what 2 years earlier had been a green and pleasant landscape. I'm going to blow this up a little bit because it is disturbing, man. There's no two ways about it. I mean, look at that. This is what people had to deal with, as we know, on a daily basis. We heard about Verdun and whatnot, and that, the stench of death had actually permeated into the water. You could taste it, you know, and taste it in your food. Just mind-boggling. So I'm going to stop that for a second, and then I'm going to. Oh, I shouldn't have done that because I wanted to show the Clark Commando 1983 one, and then we're going to go to a video. We're going to go off to the video. I think that'll be really nice to see that. Hold on here. I got to pop on my thing again. Yeah, well, there's a zillion things I'd like to talk about as per usual, but let's get to this bit. Okay, and this one I'll bring it back to normal. Then we'll go to the video. If you like the video, remember it'll be silent, but it's only about a minute and a bit. It's about I think well, you're going to see in the narrative, but I also mentioned it earlier in the description as well. Okay, share the screen. There we are, and you guys can see that. Excellent. Yeah, I thought, well, what I really liked, and yeah, you could easily see that being the song or whatever. What I find rather neat is that bullet dent in the helmet. It just always it reminds me of like a third eye. You know what I mean? It's quite an interesting. Yeah, I asked Clark Commando 1983 who had sketched it, but he doesn't know. But so, anyways, I wanted to show you that. So, boink, we can go to that. Now we're going to go to. Well, we'll go back to the narrative. Very quickly, and I'm looking at the time. Don't worry, William Aarons, we're going to get to all kinds of your stuff. So we did that. Yeah, let's go to the video of the week. So it's a wrecked Zeppelin brought down by, hold on here, let me pop it in, down by British naval gunnery. And like I said, it's only a little bit, you know, so it's neat though, because you're going to see some Serbian soldiers and whatnot, and it's quite neat. Do I have it queued up? Yes. Let's make sure I've got it there. And then boink and boink, and then stop the screen, and then I'm going to present this sucker. Yep. All right. And obviously, I don't have to worry about you guys whether or not the microphone's going because it's silent. So I'm just going to hit play, and away we go. It's really neat to see the skeleton of the Zeppelin. I'm really, really, really happy that they let us share this. It doesn't look that big, this one in particular. Maybe, I mean, I don't know what, oops, I'll shut up. Serbian soldiers in one of the engine gondolas. I'm wondering what they're saying. Oh, yeah, you get to see the prisoners, the German prisoners at the end. It's really cool. An unexploded bomb. I don't remember that bit. Holy shoot. What the hell? I wouldn't be doing that. I think I'd just leave it alone. Oh, my goodness. No, it takes this, and it always takes somebody. Looks like he's cutting it. Looks like he's going to be there a while. Holy moly. No, it doesn't look like he's too fussed about it anyway, so that's okay. Bringing away souvenirs. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Remember we were hearing about that a few weeks ago when the Zeppelin was brought down in England there off, and tons of, you know, the crowds went nuts and were just taking bits and pieces, and no kidding. Well, maybe I'm wrong. It's obviously a little bit longer than a minute. Ah, here they are. I found this fascinating, looking at all the different facial gestures. Some are, you know, pretty, you know, other ones are like pretty chill. But you can see the camaraderie afterwards. Like they're going to be chit-chatting with the, you know, the enemy, and they're kind of chuckling and so on and so forth. Is that the cook? Well, it's almost over. God, he looks like an intense fellow. What if he's the captain? The guy in the middle. And that's that. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen. Well, I hope you guys like that. I would like to continue doing that type of stuff. Do we know where this was? Brian R. Smith, no, we don't. But, I'm pretty darn sure that would be in Macedonia somewhere. I think that's where I started, like I just do relative search, whatever. That one, though, I think I just typed in 1916 at the Imperial War Museum database thing, and which is in the sources and links every week. And I think that's what I did. So I'm going to go with the Macedonian front, just due to the fact that it's got the French troops with some Serbian troops. And Harold Bosma says, "Wow, unique images come out for." Okay, that's good to know, because I didn't like I said, I don't want to bore people to death. Okay, so we're not. Look, no, I'd rather. Well, we still got a fair amount of time. We're going to skip this, but I'll bring it into the thing. It's the BGG Game of the Week, Metropolis. DJ Sideways says, "I thought I'd pop in to say hi." Are you flipping kidding me? This is crazy. Never in a trillion years did I think the universe would flip on itself. It's almost like matter and antimatter meeting. Yeah, everybody, well, not everybody knows, but a fair amount of people knows. Great to see you, DJ Sideways. I hope you're doing fantastic. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, as people know, I'm right into electronic music, and this is one person that I followed actually way before you were like, who in the world's that? It's probably the Diabetes Association. Anyways, it's super great to see you. I hope you're having a great time. So anyways, we're not going to go to the BGG Game of the Week, Metropolis, but yeah, as per usual, I just go into the search engine, the advanced search, and ask for World War I related games. Charles Satora says the crew are lucky they survived. Oh, it's my God! It's my neighbor a few houses away trying to get me to sell my parking spot, for crying out loud. The crew are lucky they survived the crash, and they're going to survive the war of the prison camp. Ain't too bad. Yeah, Charles Satora, I was rather surprised too that they survived the crash. I was shocked. Yeah, you're right. I was completely shocked. I'm not going to go to the BGG Game of the Week, Metropolis. I did put it in the sources and links. It's a print and play. Darn it, I did find a link for the actual components, but he's got the rules there. I guess it was popped in from World War I because it's got pictures of biplanes and so on and so forth. But it's just a city building. I'm not saying it's just a city building thing, but that's what it is. But I was like, okay, interesting. Now we're going to go to the World War I gamer news related stuff. I certainly do want to go to that, which we're going to do right away. The National World War I Museum and Memorial upcoming events, because this week, I attended 2 talks this week, both on Tuesday, for crying out loud. One was a dud and one was half decent. The first one was half decent. That was from the Western Front Association, Nature and the Great War by Ann Pedley. It was darn good. Not at all the way I expected the talk to go. I thought for sure she was going to be like, "Oh, this place got devastated. This is what it used to look like before and after." But in reality, and I hope she did put in the bibliography because somebody mentioned it, a few people actually. This will eventually go on YouTube, not right now, but that's from the Nature and the Great War by Ann Pedley, is from the Western Front Association. Could be up now, maybe I'll check. But she actually did it from looking at sold. Oh, here, I keep forgetting to. There we go. To pop it. Oh my God! Hello, yeah, William Aaron. I didn't know if you were. I just assumed you were there all the time because you were like an hour ago. I'll pop your thing in here. Your thing quickly. William Aaron's hello from Crystal Beach. I just watched the Thanksgiving weekend 5-kilometer race. I thought of running it myself, but my 73-year-old bones are thanking me for not doing it. Oh my gosh. Good on you, man. And nice to see you. And we will get to your stuff. So anyways, yeah, so it was a different take on that for the Nature and the Great War. So she actually has a huge list of soldiers and whatnot, obviously from the British side, a ton of soldiers that wrote books or sketched or just talked about what the flora and fauna that they saw during the Great War. And some of these people have like tons and tons of books. I was like, and the weird thing was pretty darn sure she mentioned General Maurice. And I was like, what the hell? He just got posted to something important. I can't remember what front, but I know that happened last week. And I was like, whoa, that is so wild. Okay, we're going to go to I'm going to go and stop this screen, and then I'm going to present what did I say? Oh, yeah, I want to go to make sure I go to the thing here. So hold on here. I got to pop it into the links. There we are. Anyways, yeah. And so the other one, which was a dud, that was President Wilson, Madman in the White House, about Sigmund Freud and Bullitt, one of Wilson's aides and friends way back when. But he pissed off Wilson, and Wilson never forgave him, kind of thing. At what time? The Madman, that one's already been done, but it's on YouTube already, and this is going to be why I was like kind of. So the second one, around 11. Oh, I'm not looking here. Hey Charles, I'm thinking of visiting the new hobby shop today. Want to join me? I'm not thinking you guys are asking about the talk. So I'm going to get rid of me again so that way you guys can see this better, and I'll pump it up. So these guys, I wanted you guys to. Oh, that's a bit too much. There we go. That's good. So these are the things that are coming up, and so anyways, this on Tuesday, the one like I said I found was a bit of a dud. The Madman in the White House. And there's a few good things to think about, but I wasn't really into it very much. So here's some upcoming events, and the odd thing was, so I'm watching it live. You know, I'm in the members area on the site, and she's talking about, oh, you know, please put in the comments, you know, where you're from, or like, and I'm looking, and there's no comment box, and then I realized, oh my goodness, it's being simulcast on YouTube, and that's who she was talking to. So anybody in the general public could have been at the same time. I'm like, oh, you darn it, I should have been on the YouTube thing, but I wasn't. So these things are coming up. It's this one on the very right that I wanted you guys to know about. I was trying to mention it to you last week. So this will be, as far as I know, live on YouTube. So I'm not going to go to the members area. I'm going to go to this thing. It's the War Toys. Photographer Brian McCarty retails children's first-hand accounts of war with toy figures. So it's obviously not just going to be about the Great War focused, documenting today's conflicts that can be traced to World War I's enduring impact on the last century. Explores work at this reception and lecture. And yeah, I wanted to obviously mention it to you. And you can see the other ones. Yet again, this is in the sources and links, so you guys can go and find out your own thing. Oh boy, the amateur radio station sounds interesting. For flipping sure. Let's take a look at the next thing. If there's anything up there. Children's story time, where the puppies now grow. And that's on the November 9th. Okay. Holiday market. That sounds interesting. Oh, they're redoing the Lawrence of or they're continuing on. Remember the Lawrence of Arabia Legacy series has been going on for quite a while. So okay, they got a ton of stuff going on here. So at least I wanted you guys to see that. Now hold on before I kill the link. Yes, we'll go to here very quickly, and I'll show well, I'm going to put it in here, and I'll show you there. And then I'm going to bump this up, because this guy is going to be the lecture. He's going to do the talk this afternoon for the World War I Historical Association, James Hockenberry. And he's got a ton of books, as you can see over here, World War I intrigue series and so on and so forth. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I in trouble? Hold on, I've got to stop the screen because I want to show you the picture or a picture of the lecture that is going to be this afternoon, which I said I'm really, really interested in seeing or attending, wherever the heck you call it. So this one here. And I'll bump it up. There. So this one is going to be at 1:30 my time. The Bay Area chapter online meeting. Ironically, it's in I guess the San Francisco area Bay. So probably so don't Hissy Cat, don't you have relatives up there? Your sister or something like that up in San Francisco? But topic: U.S. women in World War One, the nurses, war correspondents. That's going to be really interesting for me. It's the war correspondence bit for sure. And telephone operators. Yep, Hissy Cat says. And the speaker's James Hockenberry. And that's when I found out about, well, they have a little blurb here. I don't want to go through the whole bloody, you did see that bit. Okay, I want to make sure that we go back to the narrative so I don't find out here. I lived there for like 40 plus years. Wow. Kind of pop your thing in there. Why not? And make sure that I go back to the narrative. Okay. And there we go. And I did that. We did that. And I showed you that. Oh, yes. Andrew Chung's back. And I remember he was doing the Great War at Sea, Jutland series and whatnot. Zoe Dufour says, I'd like that one. Yes, Zoe Dufour. And when it becomes available, because they were going to record it, when it becomes available on YouTube, I'll certainly let you know. So Andrew Chung's back posting on YouTube. Remember, he did the Great War on Sea Jutland thing I was mentioning way back when. His latest video is called, well, I'm going to find it here. Ships of War, episode 15, HMS Iron Duke. Yeah, we're going to show it. Super. It's the HMS Iron Duke, 1912 versus the SMS Friedrich de Gross. It's part 2. And hold on, I'm going to pop it in the thing here. Reason being is commented too. I was like, thanks for the history lesson. Holy smokes. Like he was just trying to compare the there. I'm gonna he's certainly not going to get upset
was
me showing this here.
Around the center, and it tended to taper towards the ends. And offset by the fact that they're near the sides of the ship. The beauty of being on the center line is that even if the side armor is
on. If you want a bloody history lesson of the differences between the British dreadnought versus the big kick-ass German dreadnought, for goodness sakes, go and take a look and see what he's up to. Good stuff. And I find his voice. He's just got this really, really nice voice. So oddly enough, yesterday, and I'll be doing this after the talk this afternoon, so probably around 3 o'clock my time, I'm going to be going off to the shops to get some plum sauce. Why am I going to go off to get some plum sauce? I'm going to show you why. Hold on. Because one of my colleagues, I did it again. We did like a collaborative lunch a few weeks ago, and I made some breaded tofu steaks and whatnot, and he freaked. And so earlier in the week, he's like, hey, do you want to do that again? Because he knew my last day back from work was going to be on Friday. And I said, sure, no problem. And so anyways, I did some battered ones as well. And my God, they taste almost like chicken nuggets. And I was like, I got to get some plum sauce. But anyways, my colleague, he's the one I lent out the Great War in Africa book to, and I was like talking. I said, "Oh, by the way, I picked up. I just purchased Schutztruppe, the campaign in German East Africa and whatnot." And he was like, "Oh my God, the chapter I'm on in your book is talking about that, about Leto Vorbeck." And then I mentioned I said, "Oh yeah, I don't know if you know about Leto Vorbeck, but he's one of the." Maybe the only person that ever got away with telling Hitler to go F himself. And so he went on by himself for his own initiative and looked up this website and provided me the link. So we've got it as well. So there you go. If you guys want to go and take a look at the link later on to see some stuff. He's like, Chris, there's some really good pictures here. And I was like, thanks, man. So there we go. They're up there. I'm not going to go through the whole bloody thing. And he was talking about the Königsberg. He knew, like, he was filling me in, man. It was wicked. I'm like, this is. It just felt really, really good to like a colleague of mine. It's not really into whatever, but it was like, yeah, okay. So hold on here. I want to get back to my God. So, okay, we're so far off base. Now we're going straight to the, we're going to go to the week because we're 15 minutes in. Holy smokes. What is it, man? I swear to God, you could probably sit me down here for a weekend and I could just still keep talking to you guys about the Great War. It's just so much fun. It's not funny, but yet again, I got 20-something days of getting to do whatever the heck I want. It is going to be nuts. All right. Yeah, we're going to go to the week, William Aarons. Then we're going to go to all your stuff, essentially. And then that should do it. Just like I said, I want to break up the week with the war summary because they're extremely similar. And I'll put myself off to, I think I can do that, can't I? Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, so the week that was October 6th to the 12th, 1916. October 6th, Falkenhayn's offensive extending east against Kronstadt, with the Romanians continuing to retreat. And holy smokes, so we're going to start seeing this in the war summary this week. Romania's cluing in that they made a big, big mistake. Russian activities removed from Volhynia to northern Galicia. Renewed fighting between Russians and Austro-German Turkish forces at Brezazny in the Zlata Lipa region. I mean, how many times you see that, eh? Like, you know, boom, boom, boom. Lively actions within 7 miles of Monastir. Gradual withdrawal of Bulgarians from Valley of Struma to the mountains beyond Demir Hisar. Should be a little thingamajig in there. And Ceres. I did edit. I'm sorry. I'm starting to do this a little bit. I changed it from Bulgars to Bulgarians. It drives me nuts. The same as with the Serbs. I prefer to say Serbian. So strong enemy counterattack on Busa Alta positions are repulsed by the Italians. I just find it's like I don't see them saying Brits all the time. If they did, then fine, I would do it. But I'm like, come on, man. October 7th, British advance towards Ceres continues. Italians capture one of the peaks of the Busa Alta in the Trentino region. Enemy retake Kronstadt and Szekely. Romanian forces withdrawing to the frontier on a whole line from Pregil to Orsova. Holy moly, have I ever got my letters backwards in a lot of words. British and French advance on Albert Bapaume Road. British advance 1,000 yards and capture Le Sarre. French advance northeast of Morval to within 200 yards of Sailly. October 8th, north and east of Courcelette, the British line makes little progress. Enemy attack Schwaben Redoubt and regain some trenches. Germans occupy the island in Danube near Rushuk. We'll find that out in the war summary, well, for people that stay for the after hours. Artillery activity on the whole Italian front. It's the 8th Battle of the Isonzo going on. Italians inflict heavy losses. Holy Moses, am I ever brutal with the spelling? Like, just obviously didn't go back and proofread. On Busa Alta, Serbians occupy the, and then we get into this. It's like, is that the way it's really spelled? I think so. Summit east of Kamai. God damn it! I can say it in my head, but I can't say it out, once it goes towards my tongue. Submarine U-53 outside of Newport, Rhode Island, sinks 9 vessels. And boy, oh boy, we're going to hear about that again with the war summary. We've been seeing it as well in the daily headlines, where the Brits, the British are basically saying no Allied ship leaves the Atlantic unless we say so. Atlantic Ports, International Merchant Marine, oh, here we go, orders no vessels to sail pending instructions. October 9th, Allied forces in Macedonia advance on both wings. Serbians attack enemy's third and last line of defense in the Cherna Loop and capture positions at Slivica. Bulgarians retire north of, I think this is Brod, not Brody. I think I added the Y because I thought the way I did my scan of the chronology book wasn't right. But then later on, it does actually say Broad. I just didn't fix it here. But there is a Brody, but just not there, I think. British advance posts within 5,000 yards of Ceres. Massive Italian offensive on the Italian front. Enemy takes Tortsburg southwest of Kronstadt. East of Berzani in Galicia, enemy assumes the offensive with fighting along the whole Volhynia front. British make progress east of La Sarre towards Butte de Warlencourt. October 10th, south of the Somme, French advance on a 3-mile front and take all objectives. Bois de Chaulnes, Ablaincourt and bagged 1,400 prisoners. Austro-German advance continues in Transylvania. General Averescu takes command of the Romanian Second Army. Romanians make a stand in the Pridel Pass south of Kronstadt. On the Struma front, Sirius Railway is cut by the British, with the enemy falling back to the hills. Serbians gain footing in Broad, along the Cerna front. In Trentino, enemy is thrust back from the northern slopes of Mount Vesubio. Italians clear a whole plateau on Mount Cormagon. Battle of the Carso commences with the whole of the enemy's first line, Hill 208 and Noval Villa, taken by the Italians, along with 5,034 prisoners. Sheikh Ahmad S. Sanusi leaves Baharia Oasis for Siwa. Preparatory Allied note to Greece, with Greek government complying. October 11th, Mr. Asquith on no patched up peace. We're going to see that in the war summary as well. French carry enemy's first lines west of Giveli. On the Carso front, Austrian second line is attacked. Italian, Meandering Mike says, take care, Charles, always off, eh? If I'm not sure, okay, yeah, take care of yourself, man. Italian front carried forward 2,000 yards in the direction of Mount Pasenka and then make an attack on Veliki Hirak. Decisive fighting on Mount Vesubio region. Italian line advanced to the foot on Mount Roich on the far border of Cormagon. Stubborn, I'm going to pop this thing on anyways because I don't think, yep, we're good. Stubborn fighting in southern Transylvanian passes, with the Romanian Fourth Army, northern, retiring. French, after sharp fighting, repulse counterattacks at Bois de Chaulnes, south of the Somme, and take 1,702 prisoners. October 12th, British attack on a 4-mile front between Eaucourt and Bapaume-Perron Road and advance the line from 500 to 1,000 yards. Enemy makes progress in the Torsbruck Pass. Yep, and well, they break through, and the Romanian Fourth Army continues to retreat. Fierce fighting around Broad on the Cherna front. On the Carso front, enemy counterattacks are completely repulsed. Fierce fighting on Hill 208 and Nova Villa. Bag on Asanzo front from August 6th to date. 30,881 prisoners. Publication of dispatch of August 12, 1916, from Lieutenant General Sir P. Lake concerning the operations in Mesopotamia from January 19th to the 30th of April 1916. And I think this is the last one. Admiral Dufournay presents a supplementary note to Greek government who continue to comply to all demands. And I'm just going to pop this in temporarily. And I'm going to put this one here. I've decided my Christmas gift for myself will be a paint sprayer paint gun. Ooh, interesting. And I'm assuming that means for modeling. I don't think you're going to start going berserk on people. We got 7 minutes. You know what? We're going to show some of your, we're going to do this. This is last week's ATA, William Aarons. And I'll hope to God I'll show a few pictures of your thing. But if we don't get to it, Asquith sounds like someone, sorry, I got to pop that in. Asquith sounds like someone trying to hold in a fart. Oh my gosh. And there's actually, you're going to see it later on, later on, there's actually in the war summary, there's one of the generals is ARS, General Ars, ARS. And I was like trying to think about that too. I was like, God, I wonder. Anyways, let's not get into funky land. Let's get into this. Berlin's latest news, Thursday, September 28th, 1916. This is from you last week, William Aarons. We didn't get around to it, but yet again, thank you so much for providing this. And I'm trying to do a submarine special at some point. So because I've got a slew of information that I was able to pick up, like you wouldn't believe. And I was like, okay, I really want to get into this, like jaw-dropping stuff, at least for me. Shut up, Chris, and get into it. You had 6 minutes. The exceptionally great success of our submarine warfare. Amsterdam, September 27th. DJ Sideways says, I must go now. Take care, my friend. Wow. Oh, my God. I didn't even know you were here all this time still. Awesome to see you, and I'll be obviously listening to your music later. Take care, man. That was freaky awesome. Amsterdam, September 27th. The Netherlands steamer, I think it is that, has taken 12 crewmates transferred by the British tugboat Cynthia number 366, which was sunk by a German U-boat to Yemenden. The captain of the tugboat told a stringer from the Journal of Commerce that the commander of the U-boat had told him that in the past 24 hours before the sinking of a fishing vessel, 22 other vessels had been sent to the bottom of the sea. Holy moly. From these, 120 crewmates had been captured. London, the 27th of September. Lloyd's reported at a Scarborough on the 26th. 11 fishing vessels originating from Scarborough have been assumed to have been sunk. Besides that, the fishing vessel Trinidad, 147 tons, was sunk. Her crew was rescued. Now, guys, when they say 147 tons, William Aaron says, I'm out with the family now. I will catch the rest of the stream later. Okay, great. Thank you, William Aarons. I hope you have a fantastic time at the cottage. And maybe we'll show a couple little of his pictures. He's in a really nice place, Crystal Beach, it's called. It's I think Lake Erie, but it overlooks Buffalo. So I don't know where the hell Buffalo is, what lake it overlooks. You guys would know. How a German airship was blown up by its crew. London, September 25th. So that's, is this the one I think we're talking about, the one with all the souvenirs? The Times reported, and that was, remember, with the incendiary bullets. The Times reported that the airship that had been saved by its crew slowly came down to land under their full control. So maybe that sounds similar to what the one you saw. We were looking at, Charles Latoro, where you were mentioning how the hell, oh, he's gone. How the hell did the crew, or maybe he isn't. Tolemykus is ton. Okay, thank you. I didn't. I wasn't sure what, because I've seen something about displacement. That's amazing. Thanks. As it's, holy shoot, it's a fascinating way of looking at it. As it landed, the crew quickly exited the gondola and went a certain distance away from the ship. This is so cool, because it's almost like in a weird way, William Aarons found like a side narrative to what potentially most likely happened to that crew that we saw with the French and the Serbian soldiers all over it. A few moments later, a horrible explosion occurred and the airship burst into flames, burning down to its aluminum hull, which we saw as well. The fire lasted around an hour. And we have 3 minutes. Reports from Greece, a revolution beginning in Corfu. Yes, remember the provisional government, my goodness. Salonika, September 26th. As reported by Reuters, the revolutionary movement has begun without a doubt on Crete. And Venizelos is from Crete, remember. It has grown most recently in Corfu, where those there have declared their autonomy and their desire to unite with the Committee for the National Defense in Salonika. Where are we here? I'm trying not to, whatever. Paris, September 27th. The journal from there reported that 7,000 Cretans pushed forward in Chania without resistance and took possession of the government buildings. The authorities were driven away and a committee was named to take up the business of the government. Kilroy was here, says, I need to jump over to a premiere on my channel, but really appreciate your show. You sent an email. Thanks and take care all. Thank you, sir. I hope you have a great weekend and a great week. Awesome to see you. Like I said, it's crazy weird. He only he's shown up or posted twice, and both times he gets the question. Commander, 25 officers and a few soldiers standing against this insurrection whose actions can only make matters worse. 30,000 Cretans are now armed and in full control of the island. Like I said, this has got game written all over it. Who the heck has done any games whatsoever of Greek versus Greek? I don't know of any for the Great War. The correspondent of the Daily Mail reported out of Athens that the circle of the country friendly to Germany is still in power. As the English reporter of the paper asserted, King Constantine and his ministry has stated Greek soldiers will never fight against German soldiers. And I do have to stop because, like I said, I've got to play the after hours and I have to start preparing for the my 1:30 chit chat with the women in World War I. So this German-friendly court holds its meetings in the villa of Prince of something or other that lies in the region of Tatoi. These meetings are chaired by the German-friendly General this menace. And I'm going to stop there. I'm going to go very quickly to the narrative. There we go. You can see that. So I can just very quickly, Manx says he's not going to be doing the after-hour shows. I did not sleep very well last night, so I probably will need to take a nap. Yeah, if you need to fall asleep quickly, I'm sure listening to me drown on with the war summary will help. Oh my gosh. The Not So Quiet on the Western Front podcast, episode 44, Germany at War. They actually have a co-host there from Behind the Wire podcast, which is World War II, I do believe. Really, really good. There's still some forum posts, and I call them the heavy hitters, the Weltkrieg heavy hitters on the old constant forum world, if you're there. Army strengths at the beginning of the war. I'll show that next week. And the University of Alberta site, I almost feel like applying just so I can get access to their stuff. Yep, that's it. You saw that. We'll go to the rating on that thing. I will just do this later. And at the very end here, Into the Furnace, the BERTHA video from Lucasfilms, I disagreed with a fair amount of this stuff. And it's interesting that I've got to this point now where I'm starting to question things. I was like, whoa, this is freaky weird. I'm like, no, I don't really agree with what you're saying. Doesn't mean I'm right, obviously, but I was like, wow, this is fascinating that I feel a bit more confident in my knowledge base or whatever, where I'm like, I don't know about that. It was neat because they were very anti-German. Holy smokes. It was like, at least I found anyways in the thing. And I was like, geez, you guys don't have to be that overkill about it. It's like, holy moly. Okay, so I'm about to grab the link for the after hours live stream, and I'm going to pop that on. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. Obviously, I hope you guys have a great weekend and a great week. Thanks again for everything that you contribute. If there's any stuff, obviously the majority of it is from William Arons that I did not get around to. I'll just pop it in next week and try to really pump it up in the queue so that way it gets priority. Yet again, awesome to see you, Crispy Galactic. It's been quite a long time, so I'm really hoping you're doing well. Yes, ciao, y'all. I hope you have a fantastic time. Good nap, Meandering Mike, and that'll be that. I'm going to hit my thingamajig. Hold on here. And that should be that. Everybody's saying goodbye. And like I said, I'm about to present the screen, which I'll do right now. And you guys can see that. I'm going to get rid of myself, obviously, and then put that in. I think I just got to go like this. I think I copied and pasted it. All right. Like I said, yeah, I'm about to hit the thing, and that'll be that. Great to see you all. I'm just about to meet myself, and that's that. Okay, bye. And where we go, the war summary for October 6th to the 12th, 1916. The authorities of the German War Office are preparing the people of Germany for news of the fall of Monastir. It is announced that the Nija range overlooking the Cerna is held by the Serbs. An official report from Paris states that the Allied troops are now crossing the Cerna in their advance on Monastir from the east, while in their attack from the direction of Florina, they have reached a point 12 miles from the city. Unofficial reports state that the Serbs are now north of Canale and only 6 miles from Monastir. Their successes and the general situation on the Balkan front have convinced King Constantine that Germany can safely be defied and is unable to send to the Balkans the 800,000 men promised and needed to retrieve the situation for the Central Empires. As the greatest of all living exponents of the doctrine of safety first, Constantine, therefore, will speedily emerge from under the barn. There is relative calm along the French front on the Somme. During Wednesday night, in an advance east of Morval, 9 guns of the 3.5-inch caliber were captured. The advance in this region was continued yesterday, while to the south at Freijucourt, a strong German counterattack on recently captured trenches was repulsed. South of the Somme, in the Barlow-Bellois district, the German artillery displays great activity. Berlin admits that stubborn fighting took place on Wednesday morning, between Freijicourt and Raoncourt, where we lost some trenches. General Haig's report says nothing of importance occurred yesterday on the British front, except the shelling of the Guiducourt neighborhood by the enemy and 2 counterattacks in the Thiepval area, which were severely handled and repulsed. Berlin, in face of this report, tells how the enemy, advancing near Eaucourt-l'Abbaye, only succeeded in reaching our position near La Sarre, where the British infantry was defeated by our infantry with severe loss in hand-to-hand fighting. This battle, of which General Haig has not heard, is for Berlin consumption and is probably a belated admission of the loss of Eaucourt. Hold on, getting the mouse thing here. The announcement is made that between July 1st and September 30th, besides large quantities of other war material, the British troops captured or recovered from the Somme battlefield 29 heavy guns and heavy howitzers, 92 field guns or howitzers, 103 pieces of trench artillery, and 397 machine guns. Documents found on dead and captured Germans become more significant daily. The outstanding feature of almost all of them is condemnation of the German air service. While vast sums are being spent on the building and maintenance of Zeppelins, which are of little or no fighting value, in the hope that they will terrorize the United Kingdom, the German troops on the firing line are suffering frightful losses because of an insufficient supply of airplanes for scouting, directing artillery fire, and attacking infantry on the march and supply depots, as the rival airmen do. British semi-official reports state that for every German airplane that crosses the British lines to discover what is going on behind them, 200 British machines cross the German front. These airplanes are now taking part in the fighting, and from a height of a few hundred feet are using machine gun fire with deadly results upon the German infantry holding the trenches. The insufficiency of the enemy's artillery is also frequently spoken of in these captured documents. There seems no reason to doubt that in the volume and efficiency of gunfire and in the accuracy of its direction, the British and French are now markedly superior to the enemy. The advance of the Italians into southern Albania appears to have been made without meeting serious opposition. The Bulgars, who last fall marched across the Albanian mountains almost to the gates of Avlona, are now too busy elsewhere to defend their positions in Albania. The Greeks, who pushed troops into the region in the hope of securing title by occupation, have been ejected, and Italy holds a strip of Albania extending for 60 miles along the coast by about 20 in width. The Italian advance inland is in general northeasterly direction towards Lake Ochrida on the Macedonian border. An official dispatch from Rome tells of the rapid advance of the Italian cavalry in the Drinos Valley and the occupation of a number of towns both east and west of the Vojusa. There is no official confirmation of the report that the Grand Duke Nicholas is to take over the command of the Russo-Romanian army in the Dobruja. The Romanians make no claims of decisive victory yet, but the Allied army has taken 13 cannon during the past 24 hours and 5 officers and 100 men. Heavy fighting continues along the entire front. It is also officially announced by the Romanian War Office that the demonstration made between Rushtuk and Tuktukai having ended, we withdrew our forces to the left bank of the Danube. This disposes of the story that the troops in question were cut to pieces by the Bulgars. Of the situation in Transylvania, there are many conflicting statements. Bucharest definitely reports a victory near Parajid after 3 days hard fighting and the retreat of the enemy to the westward with the Romanians in pursuit. Berlin reports that in the valley of the Luta, north of Forgaras, the Romanians are in retreat, as they are also in the Hatzeg Mountains. Near Orsova on the Danube, it is admitted that the Romanian attack has gained ground. It is probably true that the Romanians are devoting most of their energy at the moment to the work of driving von Mackensen out of the Dobruja. British reports tell of heavy shelling on most parts of the front, while the French midnight statement says that the artillery combat was very lively on both sides of the Somme yesterday. There was a slight advance by the French east of Bouche-à-Vesne, but elsewhere no infantry activity was reported. The lull is not likely to be prolonged. The incessant artillery fire indicates that the weather has cleared and that the British and French gunners are preparing the way for another general attack. The semi-official overseas agency sends out from Berlin a statement belittling the British tanks and telling how a number of them came to grief in the Somme offensive. The story, a hand grenade destroyed one of them, looks like a case of drawing the longbow. The British troops appear to be entirely satisfied with the performances of the tanks, and their confidence is more than offset to the German scorn. The Bulgars are withdrawing on the Struma. A British official report announces the capture of Nevolien, one of a group of villages lying to the west of Ceres. In the operations attending their advance, the British captured 340 men. The enemy will unquestionably make a strong stand in the vicinity of Ceres. The cutting of the railway between that town and Demir Hisar would make supply a serious problem for them. Reports from Berlin regarding the prolonged struggle in Volhynia, west of Lutsk, and in Galicia and on the Brody-Lemberg Railway and along the Zlata Lipa tell of sustained Russian assaults preceded by terrific artillery fire, but declare that all along the front, the Teuton forces, by their stubborn resistance, have prevented Brusilov's armies from making any progress. On the Zlata Lipa, for example, where the Russians penetrated the Teuton trenches at certain points but were driven out, it is announced the Germans and their allies are absolute masters of the position. Of 1,250 Russians were captured at various points along the front. The Russians south of Brody took 15 officers and 522 men of the enemy forces. It is clear that the Slavs are meeting a far more determined and effective resistance now in both Volhynia and Galicia than they did when Brusilov began his offensive in June. The new Turkish and German troops introduced into this part of the Eastern Front have proved to be tough fighting men, and von Bothmer has handled the army of Central Galicia in a masterly fashion, taking advantage of every riverbank or range of hills that could be utilized for defensive purposes. Nevertheless, the general result of Brusilov's summer campaign, which must soon come to an end because of the effect of the autumn rains in a country where the roads at the best are of the most primitive sort, has been greatly to the advantage of the Allies, even if Lemberg and Kovel remain for the time in the hands of the Teutons. He has taken over 432,000 Austrian, German, and Turkish troops and has put out of action at least another 500,000. Berlin asserts that the Russian losses on the front have been 1,000,000 men. Even were this figure correct, which is improbable in face of the fact that the Teutons have taken few Russian prisoners, the Allies would still have much the better of it because Russia's reserves of men are very great, whereas Austria-Hungary has none at all, and Germany's will have disappeared entirely within a few months. Not only has Brusilov's offensive carried on as it was long before it was believed possible Russia could come back after the fearful hammering she received in Galicia and Poland in 1915. That was the Gorlitz kind of breakthrough, or the Great Retreat by the Russians, kept the enemy on the defensive all summer long on the Eastern Front. But it has brought Romania into the war on the side of the Entente powers and thus added greatly to the difficulties of the enemy. The Romanian generals up to the present have shown more dash than sound judgment, but the Romanian soldiers are extremely efficient and will keep 500,000 of the enemy's troops very busy from now until the end of the war. An official dispatch from Bucharest last night states that in the face of attacks by superior enemy forces, the Romanian troops in the Fogoras and the Vardarani regions have been withdrawn somewhat. Berlin reports that the battle which caused this withdrawal resulted in a serious defeat for the Romanians at the hands of von Falkenhayn himself. They were driven southward over the Homorod and the Alt rivers, it is stated, and lost 2 heavy guns, no less than 28 field guns, and several hundred prisoners to the Germans. Von Falkenhayn, having cleared and closed the Red Tower Pass, is evidently moving east toward Kronstadt and the Pedriel, or Thomas Pass, in the hope of driving the Romanians out and closing it also. In northeastern Transylvania, the Romanians have been occupying the country with very little opposition. There also, Falkenhayn's measures begin to produce results. In the region of Giorgini, where the Romanians took some heights near Parajid on Wednesday, the Austro-Hungarians have recovered them in a counterattack. Violent fighting continues throughout this region. On the Danubian front, there is no cessation of the Russo-Romanian attack upon von Mackensen's army. The Teutons there are admittedly on the defensive. The increasing difficulty of securing adequate quantities of supplies and munitions by motor or horse-drawn vehicles, while the Romanians have theirs brought up by a railway a few miles to the rear, will speedily make it necessary for von Mackensen to withdraw, even if the Romanians fail to drive him out. The Italians have consolidated their positions on the famous peaks of Colbricone in the Dolomite Alps. In doing so, they discovered many Austrian dead in the saddle between the two peaks. Elsewhere, on the eastern frontier of the Trentino, they have been making progress. The British and French struck a stout blow on Saturday. The British attack was launched on that part of the West Front between the Albert-Beaupont Road and Les Boeufs. The village of Le Save was captured. The line was extended between Guidocourt and Les Boeufs from 600 to 1,000 yards, and 879 prisoners were captured. Early on Saturday night, the Germans counterattacked fiercely and recovered a small portion of their lost trenches north of Les Boeufs. Elsewhere, the British consolidated the gains made earlier in the day. To the north and northeast of Courcelette, the British front was advanced during the night, and an attack of the enemy on the Schwaben redoubt was completely repulsed. General Foch's troops attacked simultaneously with the British. The French effort was made on that part of the front between Morval and Bouchaverdesne, and the official statement announces that the troops engaged brilliantly attained their objectives. The French line was carried forward 1,200 meters to the west of Morval and up to the western slopes of the Sailly-Lisle Road. The most easterly point of the front is now 200 yards from the village of Sailly. 400 prisoners were taken by the French and 15 machine guns. A feature of the action was the shelling by the concentrated fire of the French batteries of large assemblies of German troops brought up to hold the lines north of Sailly-Lisle. Eyewitnesses to this battle state that the German artillery never made a poorer showing. The shortage of shells, which the French staff has for some time suspected, was evident throughout the action. The German infantry clung to its trenches with unfaltering tenacity, but despite the rushing of reserve battalions and motor cars to the most dangerous sectors, the enemy was unable to obtain a sufficient force with which to launch a counteroffensive. Just say this, I found it interesting that they used meters and yards in the same paragraph. That was quite interesting. The French Midnight Report announces that yesterday afternoon, after violent artillery preparation, the Germans launched against the new French positions west of Sailly. I'm going to have to find out what that really is. An attack whose successive waves were broken up by the French fire without one reaching the trenches against which they were directed. As usual, the German leaders belittled the success obtained by the Allies. A Berlin statement says that the renewed attempt by the Anglo-French army to break through between the Ancre and the Somme has failed. The gigantic thrust was, it is stated, repulsed almost everywhere. Only at Le Save and between Morval and the Saint-Pierre-Vaast wood was the enemy able to enter the lines. Germany's spectacular submarine campaign in waters adjacent to the coast of Long Island along the route of vessels leaving and arriving at the port of New York is likely to precipitate action on the part of the United States. The vessel, which is committing these depredations, received the hospitality of an American port. Although nothing has been said regarding this, she may have obtained there or in the neighborhood a resupply of fuel oil. It is asserted that there are 2 German submarines off the American coast. In that event, it is fairly certain that secret stores of oil have been obtained by the Germans. And so long as they last, there will be very great danger to all British shipping plying between New York and Europe. and between Boston and ports in the maritime provinces. Germany's submarine warfare on this side, the Atlantic affects Canada gravely. The steamship Stefano was a passenger vessel en route to Halifax. The Kingston, another of the vessels torpedoed, was owned by the Canada Steamship Lines. She was sunk off of Nantucket Light. Like all the other vessels, she was attacked well outside the territorial waters of the United States. If the neutrality of the United States is being broken by the surreptitious supplying of fuel to the German raiders, a very heavy bill may have to be paid later on by Washington. It is difficult to see how the submarines can remain long on this side of the Atlantic unless by the unlawful procuring of supplies of oil. The Romanian thrust into southern Transylvania is at an end. It is officially announced that all along the frontier from Hermannstadt to Kronstadt, the Romanians have been withdrawn to the frontier, the better to ensure the defense of the frontier passes. This move has been made to prevent an anticipated German invasion from the north. Very superior enemy forces, principally Germans, have been discovered in this region, and it is stated that the evidence shows that the Austro-Germans are bringing troops from all other fronts in order to make a desperate assault in this region. For some time, it has been anticipated that a German offensive would come from the Transylvanian front. Falkenhayn is reputed to be exceedingly fond of strategic movements, and doubtless hoped to repeat on a very large scale the maneuvers by which he cut off in the Red Tower Pass 2 weeks ago the Romanians who had occupied Hermannstadt. The withdrawal into the passes of Romania's army in southern Transylvania will give them positions that should ensure a stout resistance against any forces that Germany can divert to an attempt to overrun Romania. On the Danubian front, the Romanians still have the best of it, except at Orsova, where Vienna reports the winning back of some ground. The battle along the Struma, as a result of which British troops have captured 5 villages in the region between the river and the railway, continues. The Bulgars fought fiercely to hold their positions and later counterattacked heavily, but without results. Close to the British lines, 1,500 enemy dead have been counted. The activity of working parties indicates that the Bulgars are digging in along a new front. In the Monastir region, the Serbs are still steadily advancing in the mountainous country to the east of the city. The French, who are operating to the west of Monastir, have occupied the town of German near Lake Presba. General Sarai does not intend to waste men by attempting a direct assault on the strong Bulgar position in the plain to the south of Monastir. The movements now in progress will turn the enemy's lines and render useless the work of months. The Bulgars, aided by German engineers, had created there what they believed to be an impregnable defense against an advance up the Cerna Valley. The new Russian advance in the Caucasus appears to have caught the Turks unaware. Not only have the Russian troops advanced a considerable distance along the coast west of Trebizond, but they have pushed into the interior and discovered that the enemy's resistance is far from strong. Desertions from the Turkish army have been frequent, and the deserters now arriving state that with the beginning of the frost in the mountains, the Turkish army is losing much of its strength. In some instances, entire platoons have deserted in a body. The recent warning by the London Times that Germany was preparing to crush Romania by concentrating against her all the reserve troops at the disposal of the Central Powers seems to have had a substantial basis. It is announced from Berlin that following the evacuation of Kronstadt, the Romanians have fallen back all along the front. The town of Torzburg, 15 miles south of Kronstadt and only 7 miles north of the Romanian border, has been occupied by the Germans. About 120 miles due south of this point, von Mackensen is trying to force his way across the Danube and menace Bucharest from the south, while von Falkenhayn strikes from the north. It was officially announced yesterday that von Mackensen's troops, by a surprise attack, have obtained possession of an island in the Danube northwest of Sistova. The Romanian soldiers on the island were captured together with 6 pieces of artillery. Russia will probably have to suspend her drive towards Lemberg so that she may send troops to the aid of Romania. Were that country conquered as Serbia was by a sudden concentration of crushingly superior forces, the danger to the Russian grain port at Odessa on the Black Sea would be great. Odessa is only a little over 100 miles from the eastern frontier of Romania, and the temptation to make a dash for it in the hope of either securing or destroying the vast stores of wheat there would be almost irresistible were von Mackensen in occupation of eastern Romania. It may be assumed, therefore, that Russia will at once throw strong forces into Romania and to help stop the German rush. That there is still enough energy and reserve strength left in the Teutons to conduct a campaign of conquest in Romania is a disagreeable surprise, but the situation must be faced, and faced at once. The tragedy of Serbia gave sufficient illustration of the danger of delay in dealing with an invasion conducted by strategists of the type of von Mackensen and von Falkenhayn. A late dispatch from Bucharest states that the Romanians have a grip of the heights dominating Petrozny. This means that the Balkan Pass, the most westerly of the highways across the Transylvanian Alps, is still firmly held. A curious story indicating the diabolism of the German mind is told in the Romanian official report of the discovery in the garden of the German legation at Bucharest of flagons labeled virus, the contents of which were intended to propagate simultaneously an epidemic among men and horses. A representative of the United States legation witnessed this discovery. Fascinating. While the Bulgars, Turks, Germans, and Austrians are concentrating their forces against Romania, the Allies on the Macedonian front are making steady progress. British troops are advancing east of the Struma and have captured 3 more of the Greek villages held by the Bulgars between the river and the Sedes-Demir-Hisar railway. In some of these operations, mounted men were engaged. At the other end of the long front, the Serbs have crossed the Cerna in their advance towards Monastir. Crossings were made at 2 points in considerable force, and the Serbs, after capturing a village and 300 Bulgars, are advancing northward rapidly. They will not have to go much farther to turn the defenses of Monastir from the east. This move and the possibility of disaster overtaking the Bulgars in the valley of the Cerna may secure Romania from invasion. If the Bulgars break in southern Macedonia, they will unquestionably withdraw their troops from the Dobruja to safeguard Sofia and the Orient Railway. After the heavy fighting that attended the advance of the Allies on the Somme on Sunday and the repulsive counterattacks on Sunday, there was relative calm yesterday. During Sunday night, British troops discharged gas along the Ancre, and patrols afterwards entered the enemy's trenches and took some prisoners. In the region north and south of Arras, during the night and in the early morning, raids were made into the enemy's trenches, particularly at Luss and Neuville. The results were satisfactory. The Germans suffered many casualties and a number of prisoners were taken. During yesterday, ground was gained north of the Stuff redoubt in the Thiepval region. Serious losses were inflicted on the enemy, and over 200 prisoners, including 6 officers, were taken. The French reports tell of several lively German attacks yesterday south of the Somme, chiefly near Bellois and Denecourt. North of the river, 2 similar attacks were speedily repulsed. One of the attacking columns issued from Saint-Pierre-Vasse Wood, which will be the next point to be attacked by the French troops. With this wood in their possession, they will be in a position to attempt the crossing of the Portil, a small river that lies between them and Peronne. The Germans have contracted the habit of fighting fiercely on the Somme front when everybody else is having a day off. A report issued from Berlin yesterday tells of a notable German victory on Sunday, when, as a matter of fact, both British and French reports indicated that the Allies had made no forward move at all on that day and had countered themselves with beating back German counterattacks. These engagements, relatively unimportant, are magnified thus by Berlin. The tremendous battle on the Somme continues. Yesterday, Sunday, our Allied enemies, if possible, increased their efforts. heavy and costly defeats which the heroic infantry and powerful artillery of the army of General von Bülow have inflicted upon them grew proportionally greater. Not the smallest trench element on the 25-kilometer battlefront was lost. Naturally, the Germans hold their front without losing the smallest element on days when they are not even attacked. The statement that the German submarine U-53, which has been sinking shipping on the New England coast, remained alongside the Norwegian freighter Knutsen for 3/4 of an hour and replenished her oil supply from the Knutsen's cargo before sinking that vessel, should lead to strict investigation of the Knutsen's charter and the destination of the oil aboard her. It may be more than a coincidence that on the very day the U-53 was in need of oil with which to prolong her cruise, this Norwegian vessel, partly oil-laden, should be within reach. The sinking of the Knutsen proves nothing. The Germans of the United States would gladly pay far more than the value of a Norwegian freighter to secure a supply of oil for so formidable a raider as the U-53. The French struck an unexpected blow south of the Somme yesterday on that part of the front between Ablaincourt and Chaulnes. There had been lively artillery actions in this region, but it is believed that General Foch would devote his resources chiefly to the operations north of Péronne. By a spirited attack, the French took the hamlet of Beauvais, the north and west outskirts of Ablaincourt, and the greater part of the wood of Chaulnes. Prisoners to the number of 1,200 were taken. General Haig's army continued to improve the new positions won along the Ancre, and the course of these operations captured 268 prisoners, including 5 officers. There is much aerial activity along the British front. The frequent raids north and south of Arras seem to point to a renewal of activity in that region. A swift advance south of Arras now would force the Germans to evacuate almost at once the dangerous salient held by them between a point due south of that city and Le Sable. The British advance on the Struma continues with most satisfactory results. The Salonika-Dedigac Railway, which has been one of the principal means of communication of the Bulgars in southern Macedonia, has been rendered useless if it has not actually been cut as a result of the occupation by the British of Kalendra, a village to the west of Ceres. For their armies in southern Macedonia, the Bulgars have had 2 sources of supply. The western front was provisioned and munitioned by means of the railway down the valley of the Vardar, which connects at Niš with the Orient Railway, and through it with the entire Bulgarian system. All the Bulgarian and German troops in the Monastir region obtain their supplies from points on this railway. The wagon haul after railhead is left behind, being in some cases as much as 75 miles. The enemy center resting on the Vardar is also supplied by the Vardar Valley Railway. The Bulgar left to the east of Lake Doron and along the Struma has no connection with the Vardar railway system. It has been supplied by the railway from Adrianople to Dedigac and thence westerly through Greek territory to Drama, Ceres, and Demir Hisar. There is a wagon road from Sofia down to the valley of the Struma, which may be used if the British army drives the Bulgars away from the railway. But the carrying of sufficient shell by this means to keep the Bulgar guns in action would be an impossible task, and the evacuation of Demir Hisar, Fort Rupel, and much of the valley of the Struma may speedily follow the cutting of the railway at Kalendra. The Bulgars appear to be preparing to fight for Ceres. They have taken up a position on the hills to the northwest of the town, and there await the attack of the British army, having abandoned practically all the villages in the Struma Valley after a strenuous and to them very costly struggle. The hills to the north and northwest of Ceres have been put in condition for defense, and there will be need for careful artillery preparation before an attempt is made to drive the Bulgars out. Meanwhile, the Revolutionary Army of Venizelos, which is mustering at Salonika and already numbers many thousands, proposes to take a hand in driving the Bulgars from the soil of Greece. Venizelos landed at Salonika from Crete yesterday, accompanied by Admiral Oituz and General D'Anglia, former chief of the Greek general staff, and announced that he proposed to move against the Bulgars without waiting any longer for the cooperation of King Constantine and the government at Athens. The Greeks will probably be given a place on the extreme right of the Allied line. They should be able to take the field soon, about 40,000 strong. General Saray has been clothing and arming them as they arrived at Salonika. The Cretans, Venizelos' own people, were furnished a large contingent. The reports from Berlin as to the progress of the German offensive in Transylvania indicate that the Romanian army lost much war material during its retreat toward the passes. The column which was attacked at Kronstadt and which retired to the frontier by way of the Tomos Pass lost 1,175 men and 25 field guns during the retreat. The Romanians now hold no part of southern Transylvania except a very small area between the Vulcan Pass and the town of Petrosny. While Falkenhayn has been engaged in clearing the southern part of the province, von Ars has been hard at work in the northeast. There, the task of the Germans is much more serious, for not only was a larger area overrun, but the territory is very poorly provided with railways and the population is friendly to the invaders. The German columns are operating in the valley of the Great Cockle and have driven back the Romanians a considerable distance towards Gimis Pass, which gives access to Moldavia. It is in this region that the true results of Russian intervention will probably be first noted. Troops diverted from the Galician front could be put into the firing line in northeastern Transylvania within 24 hours after their withdrawal from the region of the Dniester. The Russians, who have been held up farther north by the defenses of the Carpathians, would probably find an easier way into the plains of Hungary through Transylvania. Heretofore, there has been little evidence of close cooperation between the Russians and Romanians in this region. Common peril may lead to coordinated action. There appears to be no change in conditions in the Volhynian and Galician battleground. Teuton and Slav there are so evenly matched now that neither can make appreciable progress. The Italians have won a victory on Mount Vesubio. They stormed and captured some enemy entrenchments there, and on the Sette Croci, capturing 176 men of something Austrian Alpine troops. The Austrians are dropping shells into Gorizia and have done some damage there. General Cadorna must be almost ready for another advance in the Carso region and to the east of Gorizia, which will end all danger of bombardment. We owe it, I like this one, we owe it to those who have given their lives that neither supreme sacrifice shall not have been unavailing. In these words, he must be pissed, man. Well, I think his son just died recently too. In these words, Mr. Asquith, whose eldest son died on the field of battle a few weeks ago, declares the determination of the British people that the war shall not be allowed to end in some patched up, precarious, and dishonoring compromise masquerading under the name of peace. The British Premier speaks for the British people. They will not lay down the sword until the military domination of Prussia is finally destroyed. The end is still a year, perhaps more, away, but it is assured. Germany is now making preparations to examine, with a view to determining their fitness for service, all her men up to the age of 63. Her losses mount up appallingly in official lists published up to the end of September, but which unquestionably do not contain a record of her losses during that month. Her dead since war began are given as 870,182. Prisoners are missing, 428,829, and her wounded, 2.2 million, a total of 3,556,800 casualties. Austria-Hungary, relatively to her population, has suffered even more than Germany and is admittedly no longer able to defend her own frontiers. Another year of warfare at the present rate of casualties will bring Germany's total to almost 6 million, and those of her allies, including Bulgaria and Turkey, to an equal or perhaps even a greater number. The most important news of the day is the renewal of July's drive towards Trieste. General Cadorna's troops have won a notable victory. Last page, my God. On the Carso Plateau, that went quick for me. They took several lines of Austrian trenches and over 5,000 prisoners. Along the Vicapo River, they also captured some strongly defended positions. On the Italian Alps near Gorizia, they broke the Austrian line and took 860 prisoners. Of the total number captured on the entire Isonzo front, 164 were officers. In an attack in the Trentino near Mount Vesubio, 530 prisoners were taken, so that the Italians in one day reduced Austria's fighting strength by 6,400 men made prisoners. The number killed or wounded must have been twice as great. This smashing blow will have a great effect on the Teuton offensive in Romania. Von Falkenhayn will hardly lead an army composed in part of Austro-Hungarian troops far across the Transylvanian Alps, while the Italians are smashing their way towards Trieste and Pola. The invasion of Romania may have already begun. An unofficial Berlin dispatch says Falkenhayn's troops have traversed the Red Tower Pass and are now on the Romanian slope of the mountains. Bucharest admits that the enemy is attacking all along the front and that Romanian troops are retiring towards the right bank of the Maros on the left bank of the Alt. A stand is being made in the valley south of Kronstadt. The Romanian resistance in that region is stiffening, but there will be little advantage in holding the Tomas Pass if the tide of invasion pours in by way of the Red Tower farther west. The motherland of the Romanians, by her stroke in the Carso, may bring more effective aid to the Latins of the Carpathians than anything they themselves or Russia could do at the moment. General Serret also is joining in the effort to divert the Teutons from their attack on Romania and is succeeding very well. It is announced officially from Paris that the Bulgars have received reinforcements and are offering desperate resistance to the Serbian troops. The latter are now attacking the heights dominating Monastir from the east. If these heights are carried, the Bulgars must forthwith evacuate the city, for their line of retreat would be otherwise be speedily cut off by artillery fire from both commanding positions, or just from commanding positions. I'm just adding words here. The British army on the Struma has cut the railway between Sedes and Demir Hisar and is taking up ground for an attack on both towns. British cavalry dispersed a band of Bulgar horsemen 2 miles to the south of Sedes. Prozenik, a town on the railway about midway between Sedes and Demir Hisar, and Topolova, a village some distance south of Prozenik, have been occupied. The Bulgars are throwing up defenses 6 miles southwest of Demir Hisar. They intend to fight for Seres also. It is worthy of note that the Allies have taken 2,162 prisoners on this front since the 1st of October. The French, who occupy the center of the Allied line, are stirring things up. Paris announces that the enemy's first-line positions on the heights west of Devegili near Lake Doron have been captured. This may be the initial move of a French advance up the Vardar. The comparatively flat valley of the Vardar is wide enough to be used for an army marching on a fairly extended front, but the mountains on both sides command so absolutely the Vardar Valley that they must be cleared of the Bulgars before General Serret begins his progress along the riverbanks. That seems to be the task the French have now taken in hand. Let's see how close we are to the end here. Okay, we've still got a few more to go. On the Somme front, the Paris Midnight Report states that the Germans launched 2 violent attacks against the new French positions in the Schollen Wood. The enemy was repulsed after lively hand-to-hand fighting. The number of prisoners taken in the French advance south of the Somme on Tuesday was 1,702, including 57 officers. This bears out a statement from Berlin that part of the German force holding positions in what the German reports refer to as the Vermont de Vie salient were surrounded and cut off. I still have to figure that one out as well. Everywhere the armies of the Central Powers are crumbling away. German troops in the first 2 years of the war seldom surrendered, and when cornered, fought to a finish. This is no longer the case. On the Russian front and on the Somme, they come in now when the decision is clearly against them. headed by their officers, who formally shot anyone proposing to surrender. The spirit of the German troops is not what it was when they set out so joyously in 1914 to Paris. The Germans are heavily shelling the new British front, especially north of Courcelette, Flers, and Guidecourt. North of Courcelette, the Germans tried to attack, but were stopped by barrage fire as they emerged from their trenches. British aviators continued to penetrate in great numbers behind the enemy's lines, bombing railway stations, trains, and billets. In one case on Tuesday, 2 British machines engaged 7 Germans, destroyed 1, damaged 2 others, and drove off the other 4. King Constantine of Greece has lost his last weapon of defense. The officer in command of the Allied fleet, I think this is it, the last one. The officer in command of the Allied fleet in the Aegean, Admiral Dufournet, yesterday served an ultimatum demanding that the Greek fleet, with the exception of the battleships Lemnos and Kilikis and the armored cruiser Avarov, be handed over forthwith to the Allies as a precautionary measure. The Minister of Marine asserted, and the vessels and the vessels of the Greek Navy embraced in the ultimatum are doubtless now under the control of the Allies. The drastic action taken would indicate that some of Constantine's friends may have made preparations to attack the Allied squadron unexpectedly with destroyers and submarines. Greece has no battleships of fighting value except the Lemnos and Kilikis, formerly the United States battleships Idaho and Mississippi, sold to her in 1914. Her 3 other battleships are old vessels of small tonnage, poorly armed and slow of speed. They will be taken over as well as 3 modern light cruisers, 2 of them very fast and well armed. Her real strength lies in a group of very fast destroyers, which in the hands of an enemy would be dangerous to the ships of the Allies. She also has 2 up-to-date submarines. About 49 vessels of all classes are covered by the demand of Admiral Dufournet. And that's it for this week, and I hope it went well, and I hope to see you next week. Bye.